Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching this video from. My name is Aching and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you guys for the support that you have given me, and thank you for all the subscribers. And if you have not subscribed, please click on the subscribe button. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how I create and make a marble cake. A marble cake is so unique. It has two layers, a vanilla butter and a chocolate butter. So I'm going to make the vanilla butter and the chocolate butter and kind of try and make that marble effect, but it's really pretty once it comes out. It has a lot of moving pieces here and there, so I will try my best to walk you through all of the steps that I'm using. And also I am going to start with the vanilla butter, that's the base first, and then proceed to the chocolate butter. So please guys bear with me, but I'm so excited about this video. And if you have any comments, please share your comment below what you think about this recipe. I really like it. And also I've already preheated. The oven is preheating. That's the first thing that you want to do. And then I have this section right here where I'm going to call it like my working station, because this is where I'm going to do all of the preparation before baking the cake. So I am going to adjust the camera so you guys can see what exactly I'm talking about. So first and foremost, the most important thing, you need your baking pan. I'm using this ones right here because I'm preparing one layer is going to go to a friend, and then the other layer is going to stay in the house. So that is why I'm using this 9-inch baking pans. I have my measuring jar and some of the bowls. I always like having these tools ready because it gets very busy and you just want to have your items closer. And then I have this tray right here, and that's the oven telling me that it's ready, it's preheated. That's good. And then I have my mixing items, utensils that I'm going to use. I have my flour, I have my sugar, and then also for this recipe, the most important thing, everything has to be in room temperature. So I'd already removed my milk, it is in room temperature. And then in this rack right here, I have my sour cream, which is in room temperature, my eggs, which is in room temperature, my butter, yep, they're all in room temperature. And then of course the chocolate, so I'm going to put right here. And then I have my mixing bowl. I just have a number of mixing bowls because I know I'm going to use plenty of them, so I just have 3 right here. And then I have my sift, just to sift the flour. So first and foremost, the most important thing, you want to prepare your baking pan because you do not want your cake to get attached, to stick, sorry, to the pan. What I'm going to use 2 things. I'm going to butter, using butter to butter the edges, and then I'm going to use this parchment paper for the bottom. It really comes in handy. So first I will begin with the butter, using butter as my non-stick agent. And what I usually do for this recipe, it calls for this recipe calls for 1 cup of unsalted butter softened at room temperature. So these 2 sticks right here, they add up to 2 cups, because this 1 stick is equals to half a cup and this one half a cup. And what I need for this, I need 1 cup of unsalted butter. So I'm going to go ahead and dump that in our mixing bowl. The reason why I'm going to do that is because I want to use the butter that's sticking on this parchment paper, the labeled paper. I want to maximize it and use it to use it as our non-stick agent. I do not like to waste things, so you have to really plan your steps. So this is going to go here. It's part of my recipe. I'm going to save it for that baking pan, and then this for the next one. And you want to make sure that you prepare your baking pan first, because you want that batter to really stick on the side. Give it time to stick on the side. So this is what I'm talking about. So what I'm going to do, I am going to just start with the side, and I'm just going to rub it through just like so. Perfect. And look at that. It is already spread it out. It's distributed. It looks good. I'm just going to do one more round just to make sure. Perfect. And then I'm not going to focus too much on the sides because I'm going to use a parchment paper in the middle. Sorry, in the middle. I'm not going to focus on doing the spread in the middle. I'm going to set that aside and continue with the next bowl. Just going to take my time because trust me, you do not want your cake batter to stick. Perfect. So I'm going to set these aside and wash my hands. Okay, so what I'm going to do next, before I forget, I'm just going to finish with the preparation. This is my parchment paper. So I'm just going to set it in the middle, just like so. And then I'm going to proceed to the next one and set it in the middle. Like so. And our baking pans are ready. So I've set them on the side to just settle and make sure that the baking, that the non-stick agent, which in our case is butter, is doing its work and kind of sticking to the edges. So now I'm going to proceed to the next step. I'm going to begin with my dry ingredients. So this is the bowl that I'm going to use for my dry ingredients. And I'm going to sift those ingredients. So what I need for this one, I need 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 cups and 3 teaspoons of all-purpose flour. I'm using all-purpose flour. You can use you can definitely use cake flour. I just love using all-purpose flour. So I'm just leveling it, as you can see, to make sure I'm getting the actual size. And then this is the next one. Perfect. And then it calls for 3 tablespoons. So I have my tablespoon right here. It's 1, 2, and 3. And that is it for our flour. I'm going to set it aside. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sift this. It's fine. You want your flour to be smooth. You do not want it to have bumps. So I'm going to proceed to the next ingredient. For our next ingredient, we are going to use a 1/4 cup plus 1 teaspoon of cornstarch. So I have my cornstarch. I had it. Oh, there it is. I'm using this cornstarch. It's non-GMO. And this recipe calls for half a 1/4 cup plus 1 tablespoon. So I have my 1/4 cup right here. There you go. Just careful. Going to set the cornstarch on the side, and then actually I forgot to add the 1 tablespoon. Here's my tablespoon. There it is. Just for the cornstarch. Perfect. Okay, now we are done with the cornstarch. And then after that, we are going to proceed with adding 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder. I have my baking powder right here. This is a Kenyan baking powder that I love to use. So, oops, I think I can just, okay, there we go. So this recipe calls for 2 teaspoons. I think I have some. Here's our teaspoon. I have some that kind of fell here, so I'm just going to use these right here. So that's teaspoon 1. And teaspoon number 2. And then and a half. So I'm just going to scrub from there, and that's it. Okay, done with that ingredient. I'm gonna set it aside. Now, so far we have our 2 cups, 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. We have a 1/4 cup plus 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, and then we have 2 teaspoons and a half of baking powder. And then we're going to add half a teaspoon of baking soda. So here's our baking soda. I am going to use half a teaspoon. So here's half a teaspoon. Oops. There you go. And those are our dry ingredients. I'm going to make sure I sieve. And then also, last but not least, I am going to add salt. Okay, that is set. I'm going to set this on the side. For the salt, we only need half a teaspoon. So I'm just going to eyeball it. And voila, we are done with our dry ingredients. I am going to just give it a good mix. Just making sure everything is mixed well. Perfect. Perfect. So that is ingredient number one. Now we are going to create the next one. For the next one, I'm going to use this jar. And in this jar, I'm going to mix sour cream with milk. So for our sour cream, I have the sour cream here. I have the milk right here. What I'm going to do is 3/4 cup of sour cream and 1/4 cup of whole milk. So I have 1/4 cup right here that I am going to rinse. So 1/4 cup of milk. This is whole milk. You can use 2% if you want, but for this recipe, if you want the moist cake, you have to use what is it? You have to use whole milk. And then I'm going to do 3/4 cup of sour cream. So what I'm going to do with that, I'm just going to do this 1/4 cup times 3. Making sure. Just measuring to make sure. Then I'm going to add it here. I'm going to add another one. Making sure it's full, that we are actually getting that exact amount that we want. And again, remember, all of this is at room temperature. And then one final one. Perfect. Okay, I am going to set this aside, sorry. And then I'm just going to mix this. If you have spatulas when it comes to baking, it's very important. They really come in handy and make your work much easier. So as you can see, it's mixed. Okay, that is part two of the main ingredient. I have my dry ingredients. I have my milk and sour cream. I am going to set aside. And then now, the essence that we are going to use, the extract that we are going to use is vanilla. So I'm just going to remove this out of this box to just have it ready. And what we are going to do now is move this electric mixer a little bit closer because we have our butter here inside already. And we are going to start working on our batter, and we're going to mix it until it's creamy. So I'm going to use this spatula right here. Set that aside and start mixing. Making sure that all of the batter is being mixed, everything on the side. I like pressing it down just to make sure that it's mixing everything that it needs to mix. Just have to take your time in this step. And what we are trying to do here, we're just trying to mix until it's a little bit creamy. You want your batter to be creamy. I'm just going to continue with this like so until at least our batter looks creamy. It's starting to look a little bit creamy, as you can see. But I'm just scraping the sides just to make sure that everything is incorporated the way we want it. I'm going to give it another mix, just one more mix, and then we should be ready to begin with adding the next ingredients. I am going to give it another round. You want your batter to be as creamy as possible. So awesome. So I'm happy with how it looks now. So what we are going to do, we are going to proceed with adding sugar, and we're going to gradually add in the sugar. So I'm going to prepare the measure and prepare the amount of sugar that actually I'll be adding. So what I'm going to do now, that's why I have this bowl on the side, they really come in handy. For the sugar, I'm gonna get this. We're going to use white sugar. You can use light brown, but for this recipe, I'm using white sugar, and it's granulated sugar. And we need 1.5 cup of sugar. So I'm going to use this half one to help me fill in the half one, the 1 cup one. So as you can see, just making sure I level it. Perfect. So this is 1 cup going into my bowl, and then a half a cup. There you go, going into my bowl. Perfect. I am going to set this on the side. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this half a cup, and I'm going to add gradually as we mix. We are going to use medium to low speed. And I'm going to add gradually, like I mentioned. I'm going to also increase the speed gradually. So before I proceed with adding another amount, I just like to check and scrape the edges because I want everything to be perfectly mixed. That is why I'm doing so. Perfect. Okay, we're going to proceed. We're going to add the last part. This really has to mix very well. You have to. So while that mixes, we need to prepare the eggs. For this recipe, we need 3 eggs and 1 egg yolk. So I'm going to prepare the eggs in here. And then for the other egg, we only need the egg yolk. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this bowl right here to help me sift the egg yolk. perfect. Let's remove this. So, okay. I'm gonna set this aside and rinse my hands. I'm going to go ahead and check our batter. As you can see, it's already turning light in color. That is what we want. And it is appearing fluffy, which is also what we want. I'm going to give it another mix before I begin adding the eggs. I'm going to give it another check. It is looking just the way you want it. As you can see, it's changing in color and becoming more fluffy. That is how you want to see your batter look like. So I'm just going to give another last quick mix. Now I'm going to begin adding our eggs one at a time while mixing. You're going to have to make sure with each mix, with each additional egg, the mix is well incorporated to all of the batter. One thing with baking, you really have to take your time. You cannot rush it because if you miss any step, you miss the whole thing. I'm going to add the second one. Go through the sides and make sure everything is well incorporated with each other. Adding another one. This is how it looks like so far. Going to give it another mix. Going to do one more check, making sure our batter looks just the way we like it. It looks fluffy and light in color, just the way we want it. Okay, I am going to give it another mix while I prepare the flour, because now we are going to start adding the flour a piece, small amount at a time. So here is our dry ingredients. For this section, you have to be very, very careful, especially when you're adding flour, because it can be very, very messy. So if your mixture comes with a closure, please, please, please feel free to use it. So I'm going to begin with adding about 1/3 of the flour, and I'm going to mix it, and then I'm going to add my mixture here. As you can remember, we already prepared this mixture for sour cream and milk. So I'm going to interchange one at a time. I'm going to begin with the flour. Make sure this is all done. Perfect. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use this closure. Actually, I'm going to do this number first and then use this closure. And then I am going to use this towel to cover, or else it is going to be very dusty here. So I'm going to begin with low speed so that the flour does not just splatter all over. And then I'm going to gradually increase it. Perfect. So see, we do not have a flour or dust that has come out of that. It's very important to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and add a small amount of our milk and sour cream mixture. I'm going to increase it. You don't want to beat this with high speed because you do not want to over mix your butter. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause it, and then I'm going to scrape all of the sides because we want everything to be incorporated. Looks good so far. I'm going to give it another mix before I add the other batch of flour. It's very important that you do not use high speed. You do not want to over mix. Okay, I am going ahead to add my other pot of flour. Perfect. This, I'm going to use this. Excuse me. And I'm going to use this. This is on medium. It's on low speed, sorry. So remember, we have not added our vanilla extract yet. One thing I'm going to do, I love mixing vanilla with a little bit of rum. So I'm just going to add a little bit of rum to it. And I'm going to do that as soon as I have this incorporated. So let me check. Looks good. And then I'm going to add whipping cream. I'm going to let them mix while I grab the rum extract. I'm going to add the last part of our flour. Set this aside. Okay. Perfect. So we no longer need this because we have added all of the flour. I'm going to go ahead and add my vanilla and the rum flavor extract. So for the vanilla, I'm going to use 1 tablespoon. Here's our tablespoon, and here's our vanilla extract. There you go. And then for our rum, I am going to add a 1/4 teaspoon. I'm going to set those aside. Now I'm going to proceed with adding the last part of this whipping cream. Not whipping cream, but the mixture of milk, whole milk, with sour cream. And this milk, whole milk with sour cream, is one of the ingredients that's going to add moisture to our cake, which is what we want. Just scraping everything to make sure I have everything. Now what I'm going to do, I am going to scrape the sides to make sure that everything is mixed into the cake batter. Going to move this down. Okay, remember we do not want to overmix this. So what I'm going to do, I am happy with the level where we are right now. So I am going to take this out and just use my hands. So I'm going to take this mixture spoon and I'm going to set it aside Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and clean some of these. I need a clean working station. You can see already the time that we have spent to prepare the cake batter, and it's only the first part of the whole cake. So you really, with baking, you really have to be patient. You cannot rush it because you do not want to do all of this work and it all goes to waste. So I'm going to pair this. Perfect. Our working station is clean. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this cake batter from the mixture. This is how our cake batter looks like. So what I'm going to do is going to kind of try and mix it here and there. And it's mixed. I'm happy with where we are. This is how a cake batter looks like. Has the V shape, which is good. Means our cake batter is ready. Now we are going to proceed to the next part. What you're going to have to do is you're going to divide this into two, this cake batter, because remember we have two baking pans. So this bowl that I had used for our dry ingredients, I am going to remove about half a cup, 1.5 cups of cake worth of cake batter. Place it here. I'm just going to eyeball it honestly, because this is what we are going to use for the chocolate ganache. So that is good. Then these are going to go to the bowls. So here we have about roughly half a cup, 1.5 cups for this mixture. And here we have the remaining batter. So I'm going to, sure this is nice, 1.5 cups. Yep. Okay, I'm going to set this two on the side. So I'm going to use a new set mixing bowl. Here's another mixing bowl. And in this mixing bowl, I'm going to combine milk, butter, sugar, and heat it in the microwave until the batter is melted, like really melted. And then I'm going to whisk so that the sugar can dissolve. And then I'm going to add cocoa powder, which I'm using this unsweetened cocoa powder. And I'm going to stir it really well, making sure all of the lumps, there are no lumps. And then I'm going to make sure that this is the chocolate is very thick, right? And then I'm going to add baking soda. So I'm going to go ahead and prepare that. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use half a cup, a quarter a cup plus 1 tablespoon of unsweetened cocoa butter. And then I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of milk. And then I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter. And then I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of sugar and then an eighth teaspoon of baking soda. But remember, we are going to heat some of these ingredients. So I'm going to begin with the butter. I need 1 tablespoon of butter, unsalted butter. So with 1 tablespoon is this amount. So I am going to do this number. And I'm going to get a clean knife. So measuring it into, I think I'm going to use this smaller bowl. Perfect. 1 tablespoon, which will be somewhere here. So it's going to be somewhere here that I need to cut. Perfect. Okay. And then after this, I am going to add 2 tablespoons of milk. We have milk here. And, I'm going to use 2 tablespoons, and then also, excuse me, and then I need 1 tablespoon of sugar. So I'm going to begin with the sugar. Since I'm using the same tablespoon, I'm going to begin with the sugar since it's the dry one. So this is 1 tablespoon of sugar, and then 1 tablespoon of, 2 tablespoons of milk, just right here. This is whole milk that I'm using. And for this, we are making the chocolate marbling. Make sure the sugar, okay, perfect. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to melt this. In the microwave for about 1 minute. And as that warms, I'm going to start preparing. For this recipe, I need this a quarter cup and plus 2 tablespoons of unsweetened cocoa powder. So I'm going to prepare my quarter cup, which is right here, and I'm going to rinse this. Perfect. Our butter is melted, so that's good. So here is our quarter cup. But first, I am going to mix this to make sure that the sugar is dissolved, and it is dissolved. So what I'm going to do, I am going to add the cocoa powder, and then I'm going to add the baking soda. So for cocoa powder, we need a quarter cup. This is a quarter cup. You're going to add here. And I'm going to use this because I want the lumps to be not to be there. So this just makes it easier for me. Going to use this spoon and try to, I could just go ahead and add it like that, but it will take more time and effort for me to really break down the lumps because cocoa powder usually it tends to be lumpy. So I'm just trying to make my work much easier than it. See, that's much easier. And then it calls for another, we're going to add 2 tablespoons. Stay aside. Tablespoon 1. And tablespoon 2. And we are done with that. Going to move it right here so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to try and get rid of these lumps. Perfect. Now we're going to start mixing. As you can see the color already. It's a little bit thick, but you really want it to be very thick, so that is good. It's supposed to be this thick. Look how beautiful the color is already. I am happy with the way it looks like. So what we're going to do, we're going to add baking soda. We cannot forget the baking soda. And the baking soda, we just need 1/8 of baking soda. So I'm going to grab the baking soda right here. So that's it. I'm just eyeballing the 1/8 because I honestly do not know. Okay. This is how thick you want it. It will be thick, and that is okay because that is exactly how we want it. Just making sure it's well mixed, cooperated, as you can see. It's a very thick paste. So what we're going to do next is add a little bit of the vanilla butter. So this is our vanilla butter. And we're going to take a few tablespoons and stir in until it's lightened up. This paste, as you can see how thick it is, I'm going to take a little bit of the vanilla butter, like 1 tablespoon, just roughly this amount. and I'm just going to try and mix it until it lightens up, because as you can see, it's very thick right now. As you can see, it's lightening up already. That's what you want. Perfect. So what we're going to do now, remember a cup and a half of butter that we left aside? We are going to incorporate this into this and mix. So this will be our marbling pot. Going to add some of this here. So I'm going to try and remove as much as I can from this. Then I'm going to add all of this into this. Look how beautiful that looks. Scrape everything as much as I can out of this bowl. There you go. I'm gonna set that aside, and then I'm going to use this. So this whisk is not as strong as I would like it, so I'm going to change it to a whisk that is much stronger, because we really need to mix all of this until the color is all incorporated. So I have a more heftier whisk right here that I'm going to use. So this is what we have so far, and I'm going to mix it. This already reminds me of Black Forest cake, which is one of my favorite cake, and I am going to make a video in the near future of how I make Black Forest cake. You need to use your muscles. Perfect. Look at that. Look at how beautiful that is. So this is our marble chocolate butter. So I'm going to just make sure I remove this excess, because this next part is going to be very critical, because this is when we create the marble effect that you see in marble cake. I think I'm going to use this spatula instead. It's just more hefty and much easier. Perfect. So as you can see, our cake batter is smooth, and this is how it looks like. Okay, now it is time to assemble all of the hard work that we have done. We are almost done. As you can remember, we already prepared our baking sheets, baking sheet and baking pan. So, and our oven is already preheated at 350 degrees. So here are our baking pans. We have baking pan number 1 and baking pan number 2. I'm going to spread them here. And then we have our vanilla batter. And on the other side, we have our chocolate batter. So what we are going to do now, we are going to transfer this vanilla pan into both sides. We are going to try to equally divide them in amongst these two. And then in the middle, I'm going to make a tunnel in the middle. And then that's why I'm going to add the cocoa butter. And then after that, I'm just going to take a spoon and kind of form like a tunnel, avoiding the sides, right? Because we want that swirl effect. So, like I said, I'm going to begin with the vanilla butter. I'm going to do one here, and one here. Another one here. I am eyeballing this, so I'm doing one at a time. And then one here. I'm going to continue with the same. I'm going to add one here. You can use a bundt cake baking pan for this recipe. Like I've stated in the beginning of the video, I am preparing this for a friend and one for the house. So that is why I'm using this 2 9-inch baking pans. So this will go here. So I'm going to set this on the side, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and level this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and spread it. On the side. I'm going to proceed to the next one. This might have a little bit more cake batter than this fella, so Just making sure I spread it to the sides all over. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and flatten it. And then this one, can tell this one is a little bit more than this, so I'm just going to scrape some here. Just making sure it's all spreaded on the side. This is going to be very important. And then I'm going to make a tunnel in the middle, sorry. So I'm just trying to make a tunnel in the middle right now. And then the same, I'll do the same for this. Just pushing the vanilla butter on the side. So with the swirl design, honestly, to each his own. Some people get it, some people do not, but you're still going to get some effect because the butter is definitely lighter than the chocolate, so you're still going to see some difference. So what I'm going to do, I have like an indented middle right here. What I'm going to do is add this mixture right here to add in the middle. Add this in the middle. Add a little bit more here. Same to the other cake batter. Then I'm going to scrape all of this. Just need a clean. Perfect. Okay. I think we are ready. I'm going to set these aside. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a clean spoon. So you can use a butter knife, but or you can use a spoon. And I think for this, I'm going to just go ahead and use the knife because I want it to be very detailed. So I have one knife for butter number 1, as you can see, and another knife I'm going to grab for butter number 2. So I'm going to try. So this is just what I'm doing. As you can see, I'm trying to incorporate I'm going all the way to the round, all around. Just doing this number right here. When it comes to this point, honestly, do not be too hard on yourself. Just do it the way, as long as you do some motion of swirl, you know. So as you can see, it has formed some marbling effect. I'm going to do the same with this. I'm going to spread it around a little bit to make it easier. And then I'm going to just start doing this, pushing it to the sides, because you want this marble effect to be evenly distributed all over. And then you want to bring it here too. Go to the sides. There are some that are going to have more chocolate. There are some parts that are going to have more batter. It is okay. You're still going to get the same effect. Perfect. So this to me is good enough. I am happy with the results that we have. It's been time consuming, but I promise you the end results are worth it. So as you can see, we have baking pan number 1, baking pan number 2, and this one, and it is all ready. We have our oven preheated, so we are going to put this into the oven until the cake is cooked. So if you are using a bundt cake, just a bundt cake by itself, and you used all of the butter in that bundt cake, you would bake this for 40 to 50 minutes. But in my case, I have divided it into 2. So I'm going to let it sit for 20 minutes. And then after 10 or 20 minutes, I'm going to set my alarm. I'm going to check and make sure usually I use just like a knife or something sharp, and then I will kind of press down in the center, and then if it comes out clean or with a few moist but cooked crumbs attached, then that means it's good. So I'm going to put this in the oven for 20 minutes and then we will check from there. So our cake is ready, guys. As you can see, it's still warm. I did remove it from the oven. I let it stay for about 22 minutes, and then I removed it and I have let it cool. You have to let it cool for at least about 2 to 4 minutes until you see the edges have separated. But this is how our cake looks like, and this is our other how our other one looks like. You can see how beautiful the marbling effect, and on the edge you have the vanilla butter cake. So it has cooled down. I'm going to remove it from the baking pan, and then I'm going to sit and let it rest. So I have, like I mentioned before, guys, at the beginning of the video, one cake is for a friend and then one is for the house. So this is going to be the cake stand that I use for the house, and then I'm going to use this mat right here because I'll be taking this to my friend. So that's why I have this right here and just this cake stand to help my work easier. So right now, all we have to do is remove this cake from the pan. So I am going to begin with the one that's going to stay in the house. So what I'm going to do, just going to place this like so. And guys, wish me luck. This is where you know if you did the right thing with the butter. If you did a good thing with buttering and protecting the edges. As you can see, it came out beautifully. And then I am going to remove this part right here. I might need a knife, but let me see if I can just, okay. So I'm going to take a knife. Try to lift this. Perfect. Whew. There we go. Look at that, guys. So I'm going to set it aside and remove. Look at how beautiful that cake looks like already. That's how beautiful it looks. The marbling is at the bottom, and at the front, the top, it looks like, you know, it's just a vanilla cake. But when you cut your cake, that's when the magic happens. So I'm going to set this aside and repeat the same for the next one. This one, I am going to use this. Set this like that and turn it. And when you turn it, you want to hear that noise, like bump kind of noise, like the cake has released itself, and that's a good noise. You want that noise. Then I'm going to remove this top right here carefully. We have worked hard for us to rush through this process and mess up our cake. Perfect. Oh my God. Guys, this is amazing. Look at that. Look at how beautiful that is. Amazing. So I'm going to set this here. Perfect. Our cake is ready. You can see some marbling effect on the edges. That is good, but the fun is when you cut it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this sit and rest. So our cake has cooled down. As you can see, we have it on our cake stand. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to decorate this cake with our ganache, chocolate ganache. Guys, if you have not checked out that video, please make sure you check it out. So I have my cake here. I have our chocolate ganache. It's beautiful. It looks so amazing. And sometimes I'll do some decor. I'm going to show you how I use this item right here, this tool, to kind of make the chocolate ganache more, the marble cake and the chocolate ganache layer look a little bit presentable and yummy. So what I'm going to do now, I am going to get some of my cake spatulas that comes in handy in just a second. Perfect. Sorry guys, so these are the items that I was looking for. These ones, they come really in handy during this step. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to literally pour this chocolate ganache all over. Okay, I'm going to start with that pot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this spatula and I am going to try, I think this will be much better. I'm going to try and just spread it around. As you can see how beautiful that is. Just try and spread it around and kind of push it to the edge because I want the edge to be covered with the chocolate ganache also. And you want it to be like in kind of like dripping effect. Some people are really good at it, like so. That's what I'm looking for. Just trial and error, making sure the edge is covered. And you want to continue with this. This motion, taking your time, spreading it, making sure all of the chocolate ganache. And it's not always a must that all of the drip goes through. You can kind of interchange a little bit, make it look interesting. Perfect. If you are a chocolate fan, this is definitely a dessert that you will enjoy. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Just trying to encourage that to go through. Perfect. So I'm just going to go through and see if I like what I see. Can push this here, try to encourage it to go down a little bit. That's the reason why I'm using this cake stand, because even if it drips, it's not a mess. We want to see the drips. And this is a homemade cake, so it does not have to be perfect. Amazing. And this is how it looks. So what I'm going to do now, I am going to use this. I'm happy with how I see it. This is a Ugandan chocolate. It's a dark chocolate that I love. And what I'm going to do with it is exactly I'm going to use it as a decoration, because we don't want our cake to look too boring. So this is how this chocolate looks like, as you can see. Look how beautiful it is. It's very dark. So I'm going to only cut a piece. This is a very special chocolate for me. It's from Uganda, so I really use it very wisely. And then you have this two right here. So what I'm going to do is, with this straight side, I'm just going to do like so. And as you can see what it produced, it does this cute swirls. I don't know if you can see, it does this cute swirls that are really cute. Let me see if I can show you. See this? It's really beautiful. It makes your chocolate, your homemade chocolate look a little bit professional. So I'm just going to spread that all the way. And it is Easter here in the US, so I am using this as the dessert that we'll be eating on during Easter. And as you can see, since the chocolate ganache is still warm, the chocolate is melting this chocolate. So I'm going to leave it stay like that. And then once it's cooled down, I'm going to add. But guys, this is your chocolate marble cake. It is homemade. It is amazing. It's so moist. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for joining me through this journey. And please, please, please do not forget to subscribe. And until next time, bon appetit.